Hey, Gov20 Cop here. So, with the recent events and not just recent events, but anytime we have we call panic buy, or people that are buying guns for the first time, not necessarily just for a panic buy, um, we run through some issues in gun safety. So we're gonna always start this type of video, with the four main safety rules. So all guns are always loaded. Never let the muzzle cover anything you're unwilling to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are indexed on target and decision to shoot's been made. And four, know your target and what's behind it, in front of it, and its surroundings. Okay, so we won't go into detail on those four main safety rules, but know that those are the premise of what we have to abide by, and make sure that we follow those at all costs, whether the guns are at your house or on the range. So what we're going to do today goes to some of the new gun owner stuff. I've not really been asked to do this, but I think it's going to be a good idea, and will keep a good reference for people that need to physically do something, but they want to visually see it as well. Because I can teach people how to do certain things all the time, but they have to see it, and then they want to do it themselves. So what we're going to do is very basic. It's called weapons maintenance, or gun maintenance. Probably going to do this in a two-part series. First part, we're going to do a semi-auto handgun. Second part, first part, we'll do a revolver as well, because those are your two most common types of handguns. And then the second part, we're going to do a modern sporting rifle, AR-15, Armor-Light 15, not assault rifle, Armor-Light 15, but a modern sporting rifle. Just happened to went to the range and zeroed one that I own, and it needs cleaning, so we're going to go step by step on that. But some stuff that you'll need for this. You'll need rags or patches. So these are patches. I'll use these as interchangeably with rags as well. This is a large patch. This is for 38 caliber, 45 caliber. So this is going to handle your shotguns, handgun, most of your handgun calibers, unless it's 22. I always like to get the larger patches because I can cut them down to fit smaller bores. So large patches, or patches in general. Shop rags, something old, lint-free if you can find them. This is a surgical rag that someone gave me. It's lint-free. It's great, but shop rag. And then you'll need like parts of your cleaning kit. So you'll need a bore brush. This is for 9mm. This is a 9mm bore brush. For 5.56, you'll need 5.56. For 40 caliber, you could probably use the 9mm one, but they make them caliber specific, and any of these can be located at a local gun store more than likely, or Bass Pro, Cabela's, Walmart, aka Pits of Hell, places like that. You can get this stuff, but try to go to your local gun stores and support those local businesses. They're typically not going to be much more expensive, if at all more expensive. You'll need a brush of some sort. This is actually made for weapons cleaning. An old toothbrush works, or a cheap toothbrush will work just as fine, just as well. I like to use these plastic picks. I don't like to use metal dental picks because I don't like to use hard metal on my weapons. But plastic picks, if you have them. If you don't have them, you can get by using your bore brush, your brush here, to get some certain areas. All right, you'll need a guide rod of some sort. This one came with, if you own a Glock, if you bought it new, it comes with a bore brush and a rod. But you can buy aftermarket rod systems. Like here's one. There's tons of different brands out there, and you can buy caliber specific or gun specific. You can buy a handgun cleaning kit that's going to come with something, or a rifle cleaning kit that's going to come with something. So what I have is stuff that I've just acquired over the years, and that's what I use. Okay, you'll need some type of solvent. This is Hops number 9, Hops number 9 solvent. You don't have to use Bore Bright solvent, anything like that. So some type of solvent. You can also use CLP, which is a cleaning lubricant protectant. CLP. The military's been using that for quite some time, and it tends to work. So here's some just products. This is anti-venom by Strike Industries. I don't know if they still even make it. I bought it years ago, and I keep using it. It works great. It smells like cotton candy, so it's pretty awesome. All right, break free CLP. It's very common CLP. Rim oil, it's also a very common type of CLP. And then if you want to spend the money, luckily I got this when I bought some Wilson Combats, so they gave me the Wilson Combat Ultra Lube, so that's your oil. So you'll need a cleaner lubricant protectant, some something to clean, something to lubes, some type of oil. If you don't have any of this, you could also use 5W30 motor oil. If you got that in the garage, that's completely fine as well. Just want to do light coats with that. But for your bores, to clean your barrels, you definitely need some type of solvent for the most part. And it's something that's optional. If you don't want to buy a rod system of some sort, you can get something called a bore snake. Now, I don't recommend a bore snake being used on a precision weapon, and they definitely have their limitations. But you can use a bore snake. What that bore snake is, you drop it down the barrel, you pull it through, it cleans the barrel. It's got a piece of copper etching for the caliber. They are caliber specific. And you pull it through, and it does a pretty good job of cleaning barrels. I'll do it occasionally for intermittent cleaning, where if I don't clean my weapons too often, but I just want to do some maintenance stuff. So how often do you clean? Well, there's a lot of different philosophies on how often you should clean. So in the military, every time you turn your weapon in, it's supposed to be inspection ready, essentially, spotless. I have to do that occasionally because of my current position, but I think that's a little overkill. I think weapons should be functionally clean, meaning I go to the range, I shoot whatever I shoot, and I just wipe down the bolt, I wipe down the barrel, maybe run a bore snake through the barrel, give it some lube, and call it a day. So functionally clean. I don't worry about making it inspection clean. When it comes to cleaning barrels, especially on a precision rifle, you want the barrel to be kind of dirty. You want it to have some copper fouling in it to keep your accuracy. So I tell people to deep clean your barrel probably every 500 to 1,000 rounds, or when accuracy degrades, meaning, you went to the range last week and you're shooting groups on top of each other, and then you went this week and you're doing everything right and your groups are starting to open up a little bit. Well, instead of thinking your gun's broke, maybe the first thing you should do is maybe clean the barrel, clean the chamber, see what's going on in there, and see if the group's tightened back up. So we'll go from there when we get a little bit more into the AR. But right now we're going to start with the pistol and the revolver. I'm going to start with the revolver first because it's literally the easiest one to clean. So what we have here is a Smith & Wesson 340 PD chambered in 357 Magnum. Okay, it's empty, and everything here has been safety checked. The ammunition's on the table behind me, so it's not even within arm's reach. So with this, this is one of my everyday carries. It's my pocket gun. So what I'm going to do to clean this is I'm going to, and I haven't cleaned it probably about a month. I try to clean my carry guns at least every month. So I'm going to take a patch. I'll take my patch and I'll take my rod. I'm going to insert my patch through my rod. I'm going to take my Hops No. 9 solvent. I'm going to give it a little spray on the patch. All right, just a little spray. So with the revolver, I can't go the direction of the barrel because I can't fit it in there. Maybe with a bore snake you can, but with this rag I can't. So I'm going to stick it to this way, and I'm going to give it a little bit of UGA to get it through there. Get that solvent inside there. I'm going to make sure I push it all the way through, and I'm going to pull it all the way out. And I'm going to do that a couple times. And a lot of this is going to be redundant through the different series of weapons, and these videos are going to be a little bit longer. So I've done that a couple times. I'm going to let that sit. I'm going to put my solvent rag over here, and what that's going to do is it's going to start breaking down that copper fouling and any carbon, any debris inside there. It's going to start breaking it down a little bit for me, make it easier to clean. So, but like I said, a lot of this is going to be redundant, and when we get to the redundant spots, I'm going to probably hit on it less, basically say what it is, and now I'm not going to go into any more details. So cleaning the barrel is going to be very similar throughout all of the processes. Okay, so With that being said, that's one of your major things. I'm going to go ahead and visually inspect, look for any abnormal wear around the barrel, around the cylinder, make sure my plunger is working freely, nothing's obstructing it, look for any surface rust, anything like that, and I'm pretty satisfied with that. All right, another thing that I think you need, some people would disagree, are Q-tips. Here's the deal with using Q-tips. You have to make sure any of the Q-tip residue is gone afterwards. Have to. All right. So since this is just my carry gun, I haven't discharged it very much. Went ahead and just skipped I don't need to really clean anything other than I'm going to clean the barrel a little bit, but I've switched over to my lube, and I put it on the tip of my Q-tip, and I'm going to hit all the metal really good in and around the breech. It's dirty. I was shooting prone the other day and got a bunch of concrete dust everywhere. And like I said, this is the way I do things. Some people may think it's a little different or do it a little differently. Here's the deal. As long as you're doing it safely and you're making an effort to clean these guns, you'll probably be okay. You're not gonna, they're tools, so you're not gonna really hurt them too much by cleaning them. And then I'm just gonna wipe this down, wipe the excess down. And what that does is that just provides a little layer of protectant. I'm gonna take my oil, put a drop on my plunger tip. Put a drop on the base of my plunger, because I want to make sure that stays lubed, because if I need to do a reload, that is what's going to allow me to do my reload if a casing, a rim gets caught. All right. So we put the solvent in the barrel. So now I'm going to take my barrel brush. Okay, this is a nylon barrel brush for a Glock. The reason, and it's for a 9mm Glock. So the reason I can use this with 357 is a 357 or 38 special bullet diameter is about the same as a 9mm. So they fit about the same. So all the way in, all the way out, all the way in, all the way out. Just a couple times. Take that off. Grab a new patch, a clean patch. Don't use your solvent patch again. And we want to make sure this bore is dry, completely dry. We never shoot on a wet bore ever. That will only damage your weapon, is shooting on a wet bore, and it'll cause it to lose accuracy as well. In and out. Revolvers are about the easiest thing to clean. All right, and that's kind of what you want to see. You don't want to see a lot of carbon or anything like that. So this gun was pretty clean anyways. So there we go. Do a last look over. Do a functions test afterwards. So the way you do a function test on a revolver, make sure the cylinder opens, make sure the cylinder closed, make sure the cylinder doesn't move very much, the lockup's good. Give it a trigger pull, make sure that everything functions and rolls, and that's it. That's how you clean a revolver. Like I said, other people may do it differently. Spots to note for a revolver: if you shot it a lot, carbon's going to build up here, because when your cylinder closes, you're going to have a release of gas and carbon in this area. So you're going to have carbon build up down here and down at the bottom in this area. So that's the areas you need to really kind of note for carbon buildup. Okay, that's why whenever we grip a revolver, we don't let our thumbs go in front of that cylinder. All right, so revolver for the people that just can't let it go, and we got to keep using them because they work. I'm one of those people. So now, semi-auto. So it's going to be a little bit different. So we have a clear, empty Glock 43X 48 hybrid Gucci Glock. I've got a video about it on my YouTube channel as well. So you guys can check that out if you want to know a little bit more about this pistol. This is my everyday carry Glock. So all semi-auto handguns are going to be very similar. So this one's a Glock style. So the big thing you need to know about your handgun is how it takes down. So a lot of other handguns will have a takedown lever on this side, and it typically requires you to pull your slide back and lock it. So like I think SIG, Smith & Wesson, Springfield all have takedown. Springfield Armory all have takedown levers. So you'll lock the slide to the back. If you've got a takedown lever, you'll pull the takedown lever. All right. I have a Glock, so I have to get the slide forward, pull the trigger. All right, and then once I pull the trigger, I have these two little pieces. I forgot what they're called. I'm a Glock armor, and I forgot what they called. But these two little detents on the side, I'll pull those down, and that's going to slide the frame off the slide. If you have takedown levers, you'll typically have to lock the slide to the back, throw the takedown lever on the side, let the slide go forward, pull the trigger, and then that will typically separate the two. So obviously make sure the weapon's empty, make sure you have no round in the chamber before you do any of this, because you could shoot yourself. And I've got friends, or definitely for sure I know of one friend that has done that, and no names. I'm not going to mention his name on here because he's actually a really good dude and very, very knowledgeable. But things like this happen. So this one's a little different because of this compensator. I can't take the barrel completely out unless I remove the Allen keys and actually unscrew the compensator. So note that on your semi-auto handgun, your barrel will come out through this section down here of the slide. Mine's not. It's just going to slide forward, and it's something I'm just going to have to work around, but your barrel will come out. All right, so since I've already used a solvent rag, here's my solvent rag, I'm going to do the exact same thing to this barrel. My solvent's still got a little bit on it, but I'm going to put a little bit more on it. We're going to do the exact same thing we did with the revolver. And you're going to have to put some force behind some of this stuff to get it through. The rags are going to be a little tight. And this gun I have shot quite a bit, and it is dirty. I've only done intermittent maintenance cleaning on it, so it definitely, it's got a little bit, it's going to have some fouling in the barrel. Okay, so and you can see that it's the copper's being stripped. All right, so while I'm letting that sit, I would typically take the barrel out and let that sit and let that solvent do its thing. Then I would come in behind and I would take a rag with some COP on it. So I'll put some COP on this rag. And anywhere that I see metal to metal contact or copper fouling, I would take that rag with that COP and put it on it. So you're going to be your frame rails. Your frame rails are these right here. This is your frame rail. I'd get some cleaner protectant lubricant inside there, or rim oil or something in there. On your bolt face here, where it captures the cartridge, I'd clean that area because you got some blowback carbon there. The extractor, typically that is what's pulling your shell out after it unlocks and it starts the ejection process. That's what's going to pull your shell out. So you want to make sure that extractor stays clean, and you want to get behind that extractor claw. A good way to get behind that extractor claw, if you don't have picks, is you can get pipe cleaners. Pipe cleaners can get behind that extractor claw, and you can get any carbon buildup behind the extractor claw. Yeah, see? So you want to get behind the extractor claw. On the barrel, you pick your barrel up, you want to get your feed ramp. You'd want to get this area. This is your feed ramp. And around your feed ramp where the bullet inserts in, and then your locking block area, this area right here. Okay, that's what your recoil spring sets in. Okay, so that's kind of the areas you want to look at with the handgun and cleaning that. On your frame, your rails, front and back, your trigger group assembly, this is all your firing mechanism of the Glock. All your other semi-auto handguns are going to be very similar. Other than you 1911 guys, I don't have my 1911 out here. They're a little bit different to clean. I don't want to say they're harder, but they are different to clean. All right, but basically anywhere you see metal, you kind of want to just give it a once over. So you get the COP, you hit it with that, get some stuff on it, and then you take a toothbrush or your cleaning brush, and anywhere you see carbon, you just hit it a little bit, get inside the mechanism, take a dry rag after you've hit it with your brush and wipe it off with your dry rag. If you don't have patches, I use patches because I can see, but you can use your rag here. A lint-free one's better. Shop rag and clean it out that way. All right, everywhere you brushed. So I'm up here, I've got my brush, hitting my bolt face, hitting my extractor claw. The ones that are made for gun cleaning, you got a single roll here. Those are good for the extractor claw. I'm hitting inside the slide, hitting the frame rails. And since, like I said, the barrel, I can hit my barrel here, feed ramp, inside the feed ramp there. And then I take my rag after I've scrubbed it, and I just wipe everything down with the rag. You want to get all that old lubrication that you've been using off from it. Like I said, I go for functionally clean. I'm not looking for inspection clean. If I still get a little carbon afterwards, you know, that's not really my concern. I just want to make sure there's going to be nothing inside the action or the rails that are going to prevent the weapon from firing. That's my only concern. Again, then I take my little guide rod, put my bore brush on here, push down my barrel all the way out, all the way in, all the way out, all the way in. That's okay for handguns. Rifles, I'm going to show you a different technique on that video. All the way out, all the way in. I do that 2, 3, 4 times, something like that. Put that to the side again, keeping all my dirty rags away. Then I switch back to, dirty patches. Switch back to clean patch. So clean patch, all the way out, all the way through, all the way out, all the way through, all the way out. Get in there, all the way through. All right. And we can see, still not too bad. This was the one that we used, and that's what we got out of it. All right, like I said, I typically, after a day of shooting, I do wipe everything down and I clean it. I just don't typically clean the barrel, so I don't have a whole lot of copper fouling in there. A little visual inspection of the barrel because it makes me feel good, not that I would know, but basically I'm looking to make sure that there's no residue from anything still inside there and the barrel appears to be dry. So the gun to me is essentially clean. You want to clean until you get all the carbon off. So then I switched over to my lube. I lube the barrel just a little bit, just a drop on the barrel. Drop on the barrel components on the inside. All right, because that's metal. And you can see basically anywhere you see any metal to metal contact, anytime you can see any machining marks, machine marks where metal has rubbed against metal, you're just gonna put just a light coat of oil, just a hair drop of oil on those areas. I put them on the base of the rails, just like my finger's got some oil on it. I just base of the rail, base of the slide, and it should just kind of appear kind of glossy. You don't want it dripping. The whole saying that a wet gun's a happy gun, I've seen wet guns get gummed up and fail on people, and I, I urge you to say, I urge you just to do it, just a little bit of oil, just to where it's got a glossy look. Take your oil, put a drop on the right side of the rail, a drop on the left side rail, okay? Put a drop on your frame rails, just a little bit, put a little too much on that one. So wipe that off, all right? Put some on the plunger area. On a Glock, can't really speak for a Smith & Wesson, but on a Glock, you want to put a little bit of oil where your striker bar is here, just a hair bit, because that's part of the functionality and reliability of the Glock. Is you got some metal to metal there that you can't see. And then we go back to reassemble. Get in. Well, you know what? You got to put a spring back in there. That's my error. On your springs, you don't really have to do anything because you got oil in the gun already, and during the cycle of fire, it's gonna heat up, and the oil's gonna kind of go everywhere, and your spring's gonna get oily. Now, what you could do is, I've got a little bit of oil on my finger from my bottle here, and I just wipe the whole thing down a little bit. That's really all you need. Nothing crazy. All right. So now the slide is together. Okay, now we're good, and we can slide it together, and then the Glock automatically seats itself, so I don't have to do anything additionally. Now, for you people that have the takedown levers, you'll need to slide lock your slide to the rear, throw your takedown lever down, and then you're good. Or takedown lever up, down, however it goes, you'll need to do that. Locking it to the rear, giving it a good little inspection. If you've got glass, like I've got an RMR here, you use a microfiber towel, which I don't have one, or a lens cleaner of some sort, close enough, clean patch, close enough, and clean your optic window. Shouldn't need to do any kind of special cleaner or anything like that on it. Clean that optic window. Got a scratch in my window from my belt buckle, but that's okay. Clean that optic window, very easy to maintain. And then we're gonna do a functions check. So basically, if it's got a safety, if you got a weapon with a safety on, and if you have the safety on, meaning it won't fire, you should be able to pull the trigger, nothing would happen. So on a Glock, I wanna make sure my safety bar is working, so I'm just gonna grab the outside of the trigger, pull back. All right, nothing's happening. All right, and if you have a safety, you flip that safety off, all right, meaning on fire. Pull the trigger, you should hear a click. That's good. You gotta go over top, you gotta charge it, let out, you'll hear a metallic click. That's the trigger mechanism resetting. You can get another one just to make sure. All right, and that's gonna be your safety check, your function check to make sure your handgun's working. So that means your trigger mechanism is working, and you'll basically have to assume that your firing pin is working inside, and you know. Now, what you could also do for the outside of your gun is you can go get these Hops number 9 silicone cloths. They're pretty nice. So you take the silicone cloth and you can wipe the outside of your gun. All that does is get the oils from your hand, you know, from touching things, and takes it off the slide, and it'll help prevent rust for longevity. I probably use one of these on most of my guns, especially in my safe. I don't have a dehumidifier in my safe, so I inspect my guns multiple times, at least once a month, if not a couple times a month, to make sure no rust is forming, because I live in a very humid area. But I make sure that, you know, they are clean, and I use these to help wipe down and keep my oils off of them and help prevent rust. And I make sure they're coated and have a nice good coat of oil on them, but not dripping or anything like that. So that is how you clean a semi-auto handgun. Okay, so If you have any questions about cleaning a handgun or a revolver, put them down in the comments below, subscribe, and look for my part 2, which will upload the same time as the part 1, because the part 2 is going to be for AR, and we all know AR-15s or Armor Light 15 rifles, carbines, pistols definitely take a little bit longer. So sorry for how long this video is, but the next one's probably gonna be just as long, talking about one firearm versus two. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'll do my best to answer them. Guys that have been already asking questions in my comments, I appreciate it. No problem. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the videos, and I'm gonna keep it on. Thanks, guys.